Okay, so hopefully you guys got a chance to do the learning worksheet, problems 3 through 8. So let's go over it. It says, when you were very young, your cousins took you to the beach and you got pulled under the water by waves. This was a terrible experience for you and you now feel fear every time you go near the ocean. So can you guys sit here and make yourself feel fear without thinking of something? Probably not. So it's a reflex behavior and it's associated with the waves. So it's classical conditioning. Okay, number 4. Johnny is given a timeout for writing on the walls in crayon. So we know if we had a crayon right here, we could definitely write on the wall. And then we could get punished like Johnny with a timeout. So this is operant conditioning. So number 4 is operant conditioning. Then number 5, Amanda's husband compliments her for the hard work and effort she puts into preparing Christmas dinner. Well, preparing Christmas dinner is a voluntary activity and she's getting reinforced for it. So this is operant conditioning. Number 6, Mike got into an accident on the 101 freeway. Now he feels anxiety whenever he travels on that freeway. Again, you can't make yourself feel anxiety usually unless you think about something that you associate with anxiety. So this is number 5 is classical conditioning. Okay, number 7. Your grandmother used to wear a distinctive perfume. Now whenever you smell the scent of that perfume, you think of her. So this one is kind of an automatic. I want you to think of like as soon as you smell that scent, it's like you're not consciously thinking about her. It just her vision pops in your head. And so this would again be classical conditioning where you had an association with your grandmother with the perfume. All right, last one. Number 8, since Mary got straight A's on her report card, her parents allow her to have a curfew that is 1 hour later than previously. So straight A's, it takes a lot of hard work. She did it voluntarily and she's getting reinforced for it. So again, that's operant conditioning. So a lot of you might be thinking, oh, this is really easy. I have no problem with this. I don't even know why she says that this is a difficult chapter. Yes, because I feel like these scenarios that I presented you with are pretty easy. But in a minute, I'm going to show you another scenario, and then you guys tell me, do you think it's operant conditioning or classical conditioning? Okay. So this scene is from The Office. Maybe some of you watch that show. If you don't, you can still get the gist of it.
Again. Hey, Dwight, do you want an Altoid?
What do you think?
In school, we learned about this scientist who trained dogs to salivate at the sound of a bell by feeding them whenever a bell rang. So for the past couple weeks, I've been conducting a similar experiment. Dwight, want an Altoid?
Okay.
Altoid?
Sure.
And Dwight?
Midpoint? Yes.
What are you doing? What?
I don't know. Well, my mouth tastes so bad all of a sudden.
Well,
So what did you think? Did you think that office clip was that classical conditioning or operant conditioning? Well, let's see. What happened is every time he played the computer sound that he would ask his office partner to stick out his if he wanted an Altoid, and he would put out his hand and he would get an Altoid. So putting out his hand was a voluntary behavior and he received a reinforcement of the Altoid. And then so that would be an operant conditioning. But then his mouth salivating as a byproduct of knowing that you were getting ready to get the Altoid and that's associated with the sound would be classical conditioning. So he said, my mouth tastes funny. So not only was his hand automatically kind of going out in like an unconscious process, which would kind of be classical conditioning. And then he had a reflexive behavior with the salivation in his mouth. His mouth tasted funny without the Altoid. And so that would be classical conditioning. So the reason why I'm showing you this is on the scenarios that I gave you in class, they're very cut and dry. But many times in real life, that learning is a combination of both operant conditioning and classical conditioning, and a lot of times it's not quite so easy to untangle, was this classical conditioning or was this operant conditioning? But you know, we're learning this right now, and I just wanted to share with you why many times classical and operant is so difficult, is because sometimes it's hard to untangle which is which, but it doesn't really matter. You're learning all the same. Okay, so we're going to go on to our next video, which is I'm explaining the steps of classical conditioning.